I've been on the Novi Fire Department for 18 years.
I applied and created an application, but then about 2 months later I was asked to go and spend 3 years in Japan, so we did that. And the fire chief said, don't worry, I've got your application on file. As soon as you come back, we'll process it. So I came back 3 years later, and probably the first thing I did after going back and fixing up the house was I went back to the fire chief, and he was there, and he saw me walk in, pulled the application out of his top drawer and said, "Here we go, are you ready?" And that's how I became a firefighter for the city of Novi.
Well, I think it's a positive role model for my children. Hopefully they can see that giving back to the community is important, and that's kind of why I do it. There's probably been negatives to that as well, in that occasionally I've had to leave the family at a restaurant or a grocery store in responding to a call.
The one story I can think of when the kids were young is I was 9 months pregnant with our youngest, and we were at Kroger in Novi, and he got a call for a possible small plane crash on 10 Mile in Novi, and he left his 9-month pregnant wife and his 3-year-old daughter on a pallet of watermelons. And he just left. He left us at Kroger, and we just sat on the pallet of watermelons until he came back to get us, which was a couple hours later.
We get everything from very serious heart attacks and traffic accidents to probably the most humorous call I've ever been on was a gentleman that thought he was going to die, came in as a 911 emergency call, and we got there, and he was bit by a gerbil on his finger, and the gerbil left a dent on his finger, which he thought he was going to die from blood loss, which it wasn't even bleeding, and then second, die from some infection, which gerbils, hamsters, don't have infection. So this fire came in at about 7 o'clock at night, and at that time we were actually at the fire station doing training, which had started about an hour previously. So this call came out. We were on scene in about 3 minutes. The fire itself lasted about 2.5 hours, but then you have to do things like overhaul, you have to do investigation. So we basically left the scene at about 8:30 that morning. So we were here for 13.5 hours nonstop. I think every time I get to interact with the people in the city and help them, because you figure that a lot of the people that you're dealing with, it's their worst time, it's their most fearful time, and you get to help calm them down. And it's not even usually the patient. Sometimes it's the people that are in the household that are needing some support as well. It's just a different kind of hobby. My hobby is putting out fires and saving lives as opposed to collecting coins.